But to steal Nakobe Dean, and Rob, as you know, we talked about it on the draft show Thursday. Seth Joyner and I had a good debate. He liked the bigger linebacker. I said Nakobe Dean was the only linebacker in the first draft I would consider taking. They get him in the third. But the fact that he dropped to the third, once again, somebody did that kid wrong, to put that rumor out there like that. I mean, that's dirty pool. Agents do this all the time, to drop other players and hopefully move their clients up.
That happened. Welcome in, everybody. Happy Monday, everyone. Sports Take. Rob LSD Gunn, Barrett Brooks, JAKIB Media YouTube Network. Oh man, fellas, what a weekend! What a really 4 days. When you look back to where we were when we were doing the show on Thursday, and Derek and I down at Ocean Casino Resort. But Barrett, we're anticipating what the draft may look like. We're anticipating Eagles moves. We're looking ahead to the Sixers. At that point, we don't know if they're going to win Game 6. We don't know about Embiid's injury. There was a big difference, 4 days makes. And as we sit here right now, and we'll get into all of it, certainly, and we'll be joined by Derek Bodner at 12:30 to preview the Sixers and the Heat Game 1 tonight, and then at 2 o'clock, Ruben Frag from NBC Sports Philadelphia. But, guys, we look back at all of this, and sometimes it's nice to have the dust settle a little bit and just sort of take it in for a minute what the Eagles ended up doing in this draft. And Derek, I'll start with you on this one. Your overall sense now that you have a couple days to sort of step away from it a little bit and look at what they did.
I want to start by saying I'm shocked at how he did, but I'm not, because he does this every year. For the fourth time in the last 7 drafts, he found a way to move up. And while I thought they would address the cornerback situation first, obviously we talked about how thin the premier cornerback situation was. And once the two went off the board at the top, Sauce Gardner and Stingley, the Eagles shifted direction a little bit, and they focused on strengthening the deep tackle spot. And, man, they got a refrigerator on 2 legs, because this dude, 6'6", 345, running a 4.7. Every year these linemen get bigger and faster. And then a few picks later, he shocks the entire draft world by pulling off the trade to get A.J. Brown. So he addressed the offense and the defense. We debated, would they take receiver? Would they take cornerback, D lineman? Why take an unproven – I don't care how good these receivers are supposed to be. They're considered unproven commodities until they show what they can do in the National Football League. He goes out, makes a trade, gave up a lot of draft capital, but he gets a guy who's proven it over 3 years. And the thing I like most about it, the kid's only 24 years old. He's still the age of the receivers that are in-house for the Eagles. He thinks like them. He understands them. He understands their lingo. They can relate to him better because he's one of them. And he's going to be a mentor, if for nothing else, because let's face it, the bottom line is all about the money. And so these young guys, the Quez Watkins, the John Hightowers, hey, man, how can I make the money you make? Well, here's what I do. Here's my work ethic and things like that. So I thought it was great. Then they get, possibly the heir apparent to Lane Johnson. But to steal Nakobe Dean, and Rob, as you know, we talked about it on the draft show Thursday. Seth Joyner and I had a good debate. He liked the bigger linebacker. I said Nakobe Dean was the only linebacker in the first draft I would consider taking. They get him in the third. But the fact that he dropped to the third, once again, somebody did that kid wrong, to put that rumor out there like that. I mean, that's dirty pool. Agents do this all the time, to drop other players and hopefully move their clients up. It cost that young man millions of dollars. Mm-hmm. But there's a lot of confusion as well, because 31 teams seem to be concerned about his medical issue with the pec injury. But yet the Eagles said he's not scheduled for any surgery. They expect him to be at rookie camp. So somebody's lying somewhere.
Right.
Nakobe said, I was never told that I needed surgery on that shoulder. He was never told. 31 other teams shied away from what was considered one of the top 2-3 linebackers in all the draft. He slips into the third round. Somebody's lying somewhere, and it's going to come out eventually. Either the Eagles are right or 31 other teams were right about this kid.
Yeah,
And
no doubt.
we're going to find out soon enough.
All right, Barrett, let me swing it over to you now. We come away from this draft. They didn't draft a corner. They didn't draft a safety. They didn't draft an edge rusher, yet we're all almost universally, over the moon with this draft from the Eagles. How strange is that? I mean, it was sort of a weird journey, but the end game where we got to is pretty unbelievable when you look at it.
No question. I mean, how we said it all week. Actually, we said it for the past month. Howie's going to do Howie things, and because he went out there and basically put the Eagles back on the top of the division from what he did in this draft, man, you got to applaud his effort for doing that. I'm still not going to say Howie's out of the doghouse. I mean, you still have those drafts, that he messed up which made us go the free agent route. But I mean, at least now we're in a position where we're going to be very, very competitive. We got 5 draft picks. That's a lot of draft capital that we let go with having 10 drafts. That's 5 picks we let go. But I like the direction he went. He stood steadfast in his mindset, and the Eagles' mindset of going in and shoring up the trenches regardless of needs or wants. He's going to get guys in the trenches, first and foremost. I mean, at this point, I like what he's done. I like the direction this Eagles team is going in. From the vantage point of being a fan, to me, it's all on Jalen Hurts now. It's all on Jalen Hurts. If he can play to the level which we think he can play, it's gonna go in the right direction.
Yeah, and Derek, this draft wasn't without its risks. I mean, Jordan Davis, the risk is, can he keep the weight where it needs to be? Can he be an effective pass rusher? Jurgens was a bit of a luxury pick, if you will, looking towards the future, right? Then you look at Nakobe Dean. There's pec, there's knee, that's certainly more of an injury issue than it is, anything else in terms of risk. It's size, but I'm not as worried about the size. I'm worried about, can he just stay healthy? So there's risk there. AJ Brown, you gave up a decent amount and you signed him to a lot of money, proven stud, but has also had, some mental health issues and some other things. So this wasn't without risk, Derek. They Howie is an aggressive guy, and we know the organization is willing to do that at times. Have we seen it? But there is that part of it.
Well, by taking the Jordan Davis pick, it tells me that either Fletcher Cox and or Javon Hargrave are not going to be with this team beyond 2022. And you already have young Milton Williams there. So who better for Jordan Davis to learn the pro game under than the likes of 2 Pro Bowlers in front of him in that regard? When you refer to, Cameron Jurgens as a luxury pick, I look at it as a young man who's versatile enough. He will be competing for that right guard starting job. And I wouldn't be surprised if he walked into camp and won that right guard position. And as we all know,
you don't think he's strictly a center. You don't think he's strictly a center.
No.
Okay.
No, he can play guard. He can play guard or center. And I do believe that he can compete. You look at Landon Dickerson, walked into camp off a bum knee as a rookie. He's starting. He started his first year. I think Jurgens could be a starting right guard. And then we'll make the transition. We've heard for 3 consecutive years now that Kelsey is going to retire. Maybe this is it. He's 34 now. Maybe this is his swan song. You got a Pro Bowler. See, I love the 2 of the first 3 picks because these are young men that are going to learn from Pro Bowlers, not just average linemen, but from Pro Bowlers who've excelled at the highest level. So if Fletcher's gone and Javon's gone, you've got Milton and Davis moving in. Davis played 38% of the snaps his last year of Georgia. I don't think he's going to play any more than that his first year. I think with an NFL nutritionist, NFL training staff, they can keep their weight down in that 330 range. I think he would be much more effective in that 330 range than 340. Does he have to work on his stamina? Yes, he does. And, of course, they'll get him up to speed. The Nakobe Dean issue, and I can't say this enough, is somebody's lying out there about this young man. So somebody is not telling the truth, and we're going to find out soon enough. A.J. Brown, Rob, I had Ray Dittinger on Draft Takes over the weekend, and he talked about how he didn't know if he should reveal the story, what he knew about A.J. Brown and the depression issue. And then he finally let it out with Barrett Brooks on their Draft Take show. And that's something to watch. And we don't make light of mental health. I mean, we all know somebody who's gone through depression and anxiety. A prime example, one of the most famous Philadelphia Eagles of all time, Brian Dawkins, battles depression every day. And he talks about how he's winning against depression, and he speaks around the country and social media platforms to a lot of people who ask him about overcoming depression and things like that. And what people go through, the highs, the emotional highs, the emotional lows of what that can do. And here's a guy, he played 13 games, he almost had 1,000 yards last year. So he's gotten the necessary help to get him through these things. And it's something you have to closely watch. But as we talked about prior to the draft, when it comes to mental health issues, who better than the Philadelphia Eagles to know how to combat this, having gone through this with Brandon Brooks and Lane Johnson. Mm-hmm. And, of course, Lane Johnson is still battling this. And I'm working on getting Lane Johnson on his show sometime this week to talk about the draft and, of course, how he's dealing with issues off the field as well. But I thought Howie had a great haul. You gave up 6 draft picks for 2 players. And we thought they needed an abundance of players to fill some gaps. But you got 2 premier players, one proven and one we think that's going to be good. So I have to give Howie his kudos for what he was able to do without disrupting his future draft picks. He didn't have to give up anything in the future to get what he got in this draft.
Yeah, Barrett, you look at it and, all you can do is deal with the on paper thing right now. Until they start playing, that's all we're dealing with, right? But you look at it and you step away from the weekend, and I see a team that improved themselves vastly on the offensive end, adding A.J. Brown. And that is it's hard to believe one guy can make that kind of difference, but I feel like that. Let's tackle that a little bit. And yeah, what Derek says about the depression issue is very real, and you just hope that he's in a good place. You really do. But I do think the Eagles are a team that's dealt with it so much that I think that they can come from a place that could really help him along the way. Just talking about the field part of this thing, how much of a dynamic game changer is he for them?
Bro, this is what I really want to talk about. I understand the depression. The Eagles can handle that. They handled Lane Johnson. He left for 3 weeks. You know what I'm saying? The team didn't miss a beat. They came back in. They were settled down. They understand how to deal with this. They dealt with it with Nelly. They dealt with it with Brandon Brooks. So Lane Johnson. So he'll come in. He'll be at home with this. He's just got to get through this first wave of questions. And then after that, I think people will forget about it. What you do on the field is going to make you forget about it. But what he does on the field and what he can complement the rest of the players on the field is really what we need to talk about. We're talking about a guy who's a number 1 receiver. A number 1 receiver. He was a number 1 receiver with Julio Jones being on the same team. Mm-hmm. Regardless of how old Julio Jones is, we're talking about one of the most prolific wide receivers that ever played the game. Brown was still the number 1 receiver on that Titans team. So what does he bring to the table? You have to account for him on a defensive side of the ball. So when you look at it from a defensive coordinator's perspective, you got to stop something. You got to, pick your poison. So you're going to say, all right, are we going to stop the run? We're going to put an extra guy inside the box and stop the run. Well, what does that do? That opens up everything on outside with AJ and Smith. Which one are you going to allocate other resources to? Are you going to stop the run? So that means you got to kind of, push the coverage to somebody. So that means it's going to be a lot of one-on-one routes with Smith. And I'll take Smith all day against any receiver, any DB one-on-one. If you roll the coverage over to Brown now, it's going to open up also the tight end position. So it's taken away. He's going to take away a lot of the coverage aspects that opens up for everybody else. See, it's going to be on Nick. Nick is going to have to design a way in which he can put the tight end, wide receiver, and everybody. And oh, by the way, you give Miles Sanders the ball out in space. You give, you give Kenneth Gainwell, give him the ball out in space. When you've allocated all these resources to stopping the run and also pulling the coverage over to Brown, he's going to demand that you account for where he is, which is going to open up everything. And oh, by the way, if you say, all right, we're going to take that guy out the box, now we can just run the ball. Now Jalen can use his athleticism to run the ball. It just opens up so many places in that in that defense that you can pick from when you have a bona fide number one. A.J. Brown is a bona fide number one. And also, more of his catches are on third down conversions than any other in any other time he catches the ball.
Mm-hmm.
He moves the chains. The longer you can keep that offense on the field, the more explosive they can stay, the more yards you can get, the more scoring you can get, the better it gives Hurts an opportunity to throw more forgiving balls because he'll go get it. His size and strength will allow him to go get it. Yeah. So, man, it just opens up everything when you think of it from Brown, from an attacking defense type of player.
And he's going to have a 4:30 press conference today to meet with the media. He was he landed today in Philadelphia. But the other thing I'm really going to be fascinated with, guys, we know last year that out of necessity, and I credit Nick Sirianni and the offense with this, they went to a running attack. It wasn't working early in the year trying to throw. We know that. So he switched over. He wasn't stubborn. He wasn't a Chip Kelly. He said, I'll do what I got to do to win. And he did it. Now, having this kind of weaponry, having another year under the belt of Jalen Hurts where you look for that improvement from him, this is going to be a much different looking offense, I think, than we saw last year. I'm really excited to see what this looks like because this is going to be more of the personality of what Nick Sirianni is, Gunner.
Well, Jeffrey Lurie always wants more of a passing identity to his offense. But Sirianni came out and said, we want to have balance. We want to have more balance. And obviously, the way Sirianni's offense is structured, if that offensive line can move the defensive fronts the way they did last year, it's going to, number one, take a lot more pressure off of Jalen Hurts. Number two, when they go to that play action, it's going to suck in those linebackers a little bit more. They should have a wide receiver open free somewhere on the field almost 75% of the time. You know, at least 75% of the time. There should be a Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown, Quez Watkins, John Hightower, whoever the case may be, Dallas Goedert, somebody should be open. Jalen Hurts can't miss on throws like he missed in 2021. He cannot miss. Now, every quarterback misses on a throw. But some of the throws he missed. I mean, he missed receivers by a country mile that was streaking down the field or wide open in space out in the flats. That cannot happen anymore. He has to show more of a poised presence. I agree with Barrett. There's more pressure on Jalen Hurts now than there was before the draft, but there's also more pressure on Nick Sirianni to make this offense click the way now he wants it to click. He said he wants balance. Okay, we're going to sit back and wait and see. He's not going to reveal a lot to us in OTAs, mini camps, not even training camp, not even preseason games. We're not going to see the full arsenal of what Nick Sirianni wants until they hit the ground running and the bullets start flying for real come September. So it's as much on Nick Sirianni and that offensive staff as it is on Jalen Hurts now to make this thing hum.
Yeah, and look, there's no training wheels now with Jalen Hurts, right? And it's not a knock on Jalen. It's just the way it is. No, every quarterback in that league is under pressure. Every quarterback in that league that has expectations, for, at least for most teams. This is a team that made the playoffs last year. He's now in his second full season as a starter. He's finally in an offense with an offensive coordinator and coach for the second straight year. At Alabama, it was a turnover every year with offensive coordinators when he was there. Then he transfers to Oklahoma. Then he gets here the first year, and it's Doug. And, then last year, there's a comfort level that he has now. He should be able to have where we can push away all the other stuff where we talk about what he doesn't have around him. It's there now for Jalen Hurts, and that's a good thing. Let's reveal what this is.
Right, and you're exactly right, Rob, because, I mean, long story long, he now has to, or get off the pot. Blanket get off the pot because he's going to have the full gamut of whatever offense he wants to run. It's all predicated on his skill set and how much better a player did he get over this offseason. Now, evidently, we've seen in the past, he's gotten better every single year. He's went about his work and becoming a better quarterback every single year from college now to the NFL. He's taken a progression. Now, from what I saw last year, I mean, I understand everybody said, all right, he missed a lot of receivers. Well, hell, look what else he did. You know what I'm saying? He almost had 1,000 yards rushing. I mean, he ran an offense which allowed him to go and get to the playoffs. He totally transformed a 2-5 team into a playoff team. So everybody's talking about the negative. Let's talk about the positive, how he united that team and put that team in a better position to go out there and play at a higher level. Those are the things we're not talking enough. We're just talking about the bad things. Let's talk about the good things he did. We know that he's going to come back, and I think he's going to be a lot more polished than what we saw before. A lot more polished, because that's been his mindset. That's been who he has been since we've known him to be in the league.
Derek, let's talk about this part of it, which isn't the end-all be-all, but I like it. He and Brown are very tight. Those two have been buddies for years now. It feels like A.J. Brown's like 10 years older than him. They're a year apart, basically. Yep. Like, it's crazy. But those two have a really good relationship. They were FaceTiming each other the night of the draft when Brown was traded to the Eagles, and both guys going crazy. You know, there's going to be a lot of work away from the NovaCare facility done this offseason with those two together.
You know what? There's something to be said about a comfort zone with a person, okay? And because of their relationship, that should translate into automatic chemistry. You know, he had the chemistry with Devontae, when Devontae got here, and it was quite obvious. He has that chemistry with A.J. Brown. Barrett said that, we talk about the bad things that a Jalen Hurts does. I wasn't referring to bad things. I was referring to the facts of what Jalen Hurts did not do. It was bad because it didn't happen. But I look at a Jalen Hurts, and I can't say it enough. You talk about a young man with so much poise, and it doesn't get to him. He's got that leather skin exterior, which you have to have in the National Football League. You look at Josh Allen in Buffalo his first year, he stunk when he was a full-time starter. But once Sean McDermott and that staff went out and got him some weapons, and they tightened up their defense, all of a sudden Josh Allen now is mentioned as one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL now. And I'm not saying that Jalen Hurts can't do that, but it's a wait and see because of what Barrett's right. Jalen Hurts proved that he was a leader in 2021. The asterisk is you look at the latter half of their schedule, okay? And we would have been criticizing them more had they lost most of those games. Right. So I applaud Nick Sirianni. I applaud Jalen Hurts, the offense, the defense for being able to put their foot on inferior opponents' throats, get it done, get that team to the playoffs, get some playoff experience with a bunch of young guys, and come back and enhance upon that. But we can't talk enough about how is Jalen going to respond now that Howie has improved around. We knew they had the offensive line. We knew they had the young stable of running backs. We all said they needed to get another receiver. Howie, the miracle worker that he did, goes out and get one of the best wide receivers in the game today to complement one of the best young wide receivers in the game today, with a couple of young receivers in Watkins and Hightower that are still up and coming, that have a lot of room to grow, with a proven tight end. What else do you want? What else do you want? Now, I hate to say this, but you look at a quarterback like Carson Wentz, who left a bad situation in Philadelphia and went to a situation in Indianapolis where he had one of the best offensive lines, the best running back in the league in 2021, good pass catchers, and flopped on his face to the point that the one guy who made him what he was in 2017 said, hey, you got to go. I'm sorry, you got to go. And Carson Wentz has a wealth of experience. So as hyped as we are about Jalen, I got to pump the brakes and say, wait and see. Let's wait and see. That's all we can do. We don't know. We don't know.
There's no doubt, Derek. We are in wait and see mode. But the one thing I continue to try to emphasize about the draft, Barrett, is you can't fix everything overnight. Okay.
Yeah, there lies it there. That's it right there.
Yeah. I mean, you went into this with a lot of holes, and you weren't going to be able to stop gap everyone. You could have sat there and drafted for need and taken a corner, taken a safety, guys who weren't anywhere near on your board in terms of value, and done that. And we would all be saying, well, they got a corner. They're going to say, no, they did. I thought a really good combo of best available player they had rated highest and getting need as well, not completely covering everything. We understand that they didn't draft necessarily, corner, safety, whatever. They ended up going after guys who were undrafted and paid them crazy money, which we'll talk about later. But, not everything's going to be fixed overnight, man. It looks like Tyrann Mathieu's going to the Saints.
Yeah, he's with the Saints. Yeah,
is the way that's shaking out. So, you're going to have to go other methods or trust the guys that you have in house. But I see people reacting saying, "Well, they didn't get this. They didn't. Well, they couldn't fix all of this."
Exactly. You can't get everything.
Exactly. And when I look at it, I yesterday, I don't know what the heck is wrong with me, man. But I went back and I watched the Dallas game.
Oh,
and I watched Zach.
You're a glutton for punishment, man.
Right.
He walked right into that one.
Oh my God, man! Yikes!
But I watched Zach McPherson.
Okay.
And I watched him one-on-one against one of
they played their starters for basically 3 quarters of that.
That's what I'm saying, 3 quarters. So 3 quarters, him and CeeDee Lamb were going at it. And I like what I saw.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I like what I saw. So if I like what I saw, I can see this Eagles, defense going with a Zach McPherson as the starting corner. Now he's going to get his bumps and bruises. He's going to get his book. But see, everybody's saying that because he didn't become a starter. Well, that's because Nelson was better than he was.
Right.
Man, you're supposed to take your draft picks from the years and implement them into the offense. They have to become a part of the offense. You know what I'm saying? And I look at a guy like, I look at Marcus Epps. Marcus Epps was suitable for a major part of the season. He played, I thought, pretty well at that third safety.
Well, they like him a lot. Howie was very effusive in his praise of Marcus Epps. So.
Absolutely. And I mean, and they have Kayvon Wallace, who he was hurt the majority of the season. But when he was in there, he was very serviceable. So I could still see them not going at the free agency and spending a bunch and getting a bunch of players because I really think they like what they see in-house. I really do believe that.
We have a question for John. For Derek.
Yeah.
What were D Gunn's top 5 items at the buffet on Thursday night?
I can tell you right now. The crab legs.
What?
The mussels. Oh, yeah. We didn't tell you about this, Barrett?
Oh, Gunner went to town, man. He went to town, Barrett.
Wait a minute. Hold on, Rob. You got your share too now. Hold up. But Barrett, the crab legs, the mussels, the shrimp, the boiled shrimp. Let's see. The corn on the cob. The boiled potatoes, and I had a couple chicken tenders as well.
See, y'all wrong for that. You know what I had?
Yeah.
I went to Wawa, and I went to the Wawa down by the stadium, and of course, I went in to get a salad. One of those salads, the after 4 o'clock salad. That you can get on there that has the chicken Caesar salad that they put the
little protein on there.
Protein. Put the chicken in there, and you can get the noodles and the penne noodles in it. Of course, there was no penne noodles in the Wawa, and of course, there was no grilled chicken breast.
I have a Barrett calling out the specific Wawa right there.
Well, but this is the bad part. They only serve it after 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
Well, damn it, it was only 5:30. So you ran out of that in an hour and a half.
Man,
Come on, man.
Wait, you had to buy your own food?
Yeah, I had to buy my Derek. You gonna do me like that?
You had to buy your own food? No,
yeah,
I'm just asking you. No,
hey, I don't know.
It's not like it used to be. Remember, it used to be they used to have chicken and pizza. Ain't no more chicken pizza, bro.
Nah.
Yeah,
when Derek left, Barrett. You know that.
Right.
You working for the wrong company, bro. That's all I can tell you.
No, I'm working for this company. Hold on. This is the worst part right here. Xander texts me.
Our producer Xander Krause.
I guess I gotta drop your 2 cases of vodka.
Stateside.
Yeah.
I'm like, come on, man. You gonna do me like that too, man? You gonna really do me like that?
Hey, Barry Brooks, not to add insult to injury, but at one point in the latter part of our draft, for almost 4-hour draft special on Thursday night, we had the head chef on. We had him on, and he was talking about, dude, they had milkshake. He brought out milkshakes that had donuts on the top of them. Milkshake with donuts on the top of them.
Yeah.
And cookies. Okay. So before he left,
I think it's about time for us to go to break, Xander. I think
it actually is.
It actually is. For us to go to break.
No, forget that, man. I got to get this in real quick. All right. So before he got off the set, he said the kitchen is closing. I said, hey, man, can you hook us up? He said, what do you guys want? So when we got off the show, they had this big, long rectangle table set up for me, Rob, Seth, Mike Quick, Devin Caney, the producers. And I asked them for an order. Dude, there was a big bowl sitting there for me with crab legs hanging off the side, Rob had the chili. Seth got the pulled pork. Mike Quick had this incredible salad with seafood on it and stuff.
Bruh,
Dude,
I didn't get home until 1 o'clock. I was so hungry, my backbone was talking to my neck bone. That's how hungry I was, man.
All right, let's do this on that. So Barrett doesn't collapse of hunger pains. Let's get a timeout. Maybe you can grab some grub real quick. We come back. I'm looking forward to this, man. We got game 1, Heat Sixers round 2 tonight. No Joel, no Kyle Lowry. We'll talk to the man himself, who does a phenomenal job with Sixers coverage, Derek Bodner. You are watching Sports Take, JAKIB Media YouTube Network.